Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be talking about the report that came out yesterday that said the Washington football team is very interested in trading for Raiders quarterback Marcus Mariota, and we'll also talk about the news that Alex Smith plans to continue playing football in 2021. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. So let's get right into it. So yesterday it was reported by Michael Lombardi in a video, which I will show in a little bit, and he was saying basically that the one team in the NFC East is very interested in Marcus Mariota, and I'll play that clip right now.
Now there's a lot of conversations about Mariota getting traded. I know there's one team in the NFC East, the Washington football team, that's extremely interested in Mariota. Mariota's problem is simply this. This year, if you trade for that contract and you make him your starter, that contract's $20 million because he's got so many incentives in that contract. So it's going to be very challenging for you to trade for him without redoing that contract. Nobody's going to take that deal on and pay him $20 million when you really don't know what you're getting. What Mariota are you getting? And so I think that's why.
Obviously, take this report with a grain of salt like you should with all reports, but I do buy it a little bit just because Washington has been interested in making an upgrade at the quarterback position this offseason. They were interested in Jared Goff. They were interested, obviously, in Matthew Stafford and some other quarterbacks that we might not even know about. And I wouldn't be mad if we went after Marcus Mariota, and here's why. A lot of people are saying, oh, we should sign Tyrod Taylor or maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick to compete with Heineke and Kyle Allen. But those guys, some of those guys might, or even some people are saying Teddy Bridgewater. Those guys are maybe similar to Marcus Mariota's playing level right now. Some people might argue they're better. Some might argue that they are worse, but at least with Marcus Mariota, he still has a lot of upside. He's really only played with one team his whole career. Yes, he was with the Raiders last year, but he was there as a backup to Derek Carr and actually played pretty well in his relief appearance for Derek Carr, but he's still very young, and of course, he was a former first-round pick, second overall, 5-ish years ago, and he still has a lot of talent. I do think he would fit well here in Washington. He's also a really, really good leader, but of course, I would not give up a bunch to go get him, and you heard in the video, his salary is a little bit tricky. Obviously, $10 million would be really, really good. I would like that a lot, especially if he is your starter. But the problem is he has so many incentives kicked in that if he was a starter, he would probably hit a bunch of those, and it would go up to about $20 million per year, which is a lot for someone, like he said, who, you don't know which quarterback you're going to get, and $20 million would be a lot for Marcus Mariota, so it would probably be a lot less, maybe $15 million or less for Mariota. And if he's our starting quarterback and we're paying him like $12, $13 million a year, I am totally fine with it. It just depends on how much we end up giving up for him. If you look at his stats, obviously, completion percentage, 226 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Played pretty well in that game, against the Chargers. The year before that did not have a great year, and of course got benched, for Ryan Tannehill, who had a really, really good year and led him to the AFC Championship in 7 games, had a below 60% completion percentage, 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Didn't play great, didn't complete a high percentage of his passes. The year before was probably, one of his worst years, 11 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. The year before was even worse. But 2016, he played really well. 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions in his second year as a quarterback. He's also a running threat as well. Has had, a year we had over 350 yards rushing. That is, obviously Ron Rivera, Scott Turner, they value that. So I would not mind. The max I would give up for him is a 3rd round pick, our later 3rd round pick. The second one we have, maybe like a 7th along with that, but I would still be reluctant to do that. That would be a last resort. If we can't get, Dak Prescott is a long shot, but if we can't get him, it looks like there's really no quarterbacks we really like in the draft, then you can go and try to go after Marcus Mariota, but I just don't think Mariota is a long-term solution. Sure, he could be. If, you get that potential that everyone thought he was going to have when he came out of college, if you can get that number 2 overall pick, you can get that guy who played at Oregon to play at a really high level, then yes, it would be worth it, and he could be your long-term solution, but it's going to be tough to do that. Maybe he could be a bridge quarterback for a few years, but if Scott Turner, Ron Rivera, if they don't think Marcus Mariota is a significant upgrade over Taylor Heinicke and Kyle Allen, then I would not do it unless they think he's a significant upgrade over them. So, we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see how this whole quarterback thing plays out. Mariota is a solid option. Obviously he's played better than Sam Darnold in his career. A lot of people think Sam Darnold has more potential. Obviously, like I said in yesterday's video or the day before that, he's played in a really bad situation, but he hasn't had any great years. Mariota had a really good year in 2016. So now let's get into the Alex Smith news. So, we've known this for a while now, but Alex Smith plans to continue playing football in 2021, whether it's in Washington or somewhere else. So this is, of course, very interesting. Alex Smith, obviously an amazing comeback story this past season. Went 5-1 as a starter, and when he was healthy, he played pretty solid. There's a couple, iffy games, the Giants game, he didn't start that game, but that game wasn't so great. The 49ers game where he got injured. A couple others, he did not play great, but he had a couple games where he played really well. The Lions game, the Steelers game, but of course, Washington cannot, and I don't think they will, bring him back with his current salary at about $24 million a year, around that. They're not going to bring him back for that much. It's going to have to be a lot less if they want to bring him back. If they can't agree, then they'll probably end up cutting him and save about $14 million in space, which will help us out a lot in free agency. So maybe he wants to restructure, but he does want to come back and, play some more football. He doesn't really have much to prove, but maybe, he's thinking he can still compete at a high level in the NFL, whether that be as a backup or as a starter. I think he wants to continue playing, and props out to him. I just don't think it will be here, and if it is here, it's not going to be at the $24 million price tag that he's at right now, which is, especially if he would be a backup, that would just be way too much for him. I would be okay with bringing him back very, very cheap. Still rather have someone else. Like we already have Taylor Heinicke, and we can bring Kyle Allen, who, played okay. And Ron Rivera even said, if Kyle Allen would have played, he thought he could lead us to that 7-9 record. And Kyle Allen is going to cost you $800K versus the $24 million that Alex Smith will cost. So I think it's a no-brainer if Alex Smith, if you can't decide to restructure the deal, then you have to release him, or somehow no one's going to want to trade for him. So you're just going to have to release him, and it'll be an end of a few years that he's been here. And obviously we're never going to forget what he's done for us. And, him coming back has just been an incredible story. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about, obviously, the Marcus Mariota news, what you would give up for him, and would you be okay with him being our starting quarterback in 2021? And then also, give me your thoughts on the Alex Smith news. What do you think we should do with him? Cut him, restructure the deal, or bring him back for 2021? I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to subscribe if you guys do. Turn on that notification bell so you never miss a video, and peace.